Wolf, get away from those sheep.
Bollocks.
You're listening to the Wolf and the Shepherd podcast, broadcasting from Fort Worth in the great state of Texas. Now, get ready for this episode of the Wolf and the Shepherd.
Welcome to this episode of the Wolf and the Shepherd. Today, we are celebrating episode 100. I never thought we would probably make it to this point. You know, there is a lot of pod fade out there, and most podcasters actually, on average, die by the 7th episode. So that's kind of that pod fade moment. And here we are at episode 100. That's crazy to even think about, that we spent this much time and now, you know, are actually at episode 100 at the same time, getting a camera, starting to film this like actual podcasters do. And so you and I were talking and we figured, hey, why don't we kind of take a look back at our last 99 episodes for episode 100. Now, before you get started though, just as a little piece of clarity, we actually have more than 100 episodes out there, but then we numbered certain ones and then we called other ones little bonus things or whatever. So whenever it got time to where we said, hey, you know, we're nearing episode 100, we realized, well, we've already had more than 100, but, you know, typical us, we're going to call this episode 100. So,
yeah, I wasn't actually surprised we managed to knock out over 100 because I was fully aware of how much free time we have on our hands and how little actual work we do. So I figured we could have done about 200 by this point.
Yeah, if we would actually, you know, kept our nose to the grindstone, so to speak, we probably could have had like 200 or 300, but just getting to 100 was pretty amazing that we could even make it that far.
Well, we did go through a month period, like early summer, where we only recorded once a week because we decided that sitting on our ass talking for 30 minutes once a week was a bit hard work.
Yeah, that's true. So. Well, yeah, and then you took several vacations like you do. Yeah. In fact, not to let your secrets out, but you're about to go on yet another one. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, here we go again. But I've
got to do research for the podcast.
Oh. Yeah. Looking at big rocks again?
No, I'm just going somewhere where I've got a better internet connection.
Oh, yeah. Our internet connection does really suck here.
It sucks.
We have made it better, but it still sucks.
I mean, I can barely sit here and like download an illegal movie in like under 30 minutes. It's terrible. Like at home with BitTorrent, something comes out of the movies, I've got that movie in like 5 minutes. Here, it takes me like 30 minutes.
I know. That's first world problems.
Yeah, but we are using somebody else's internet connection, so we shouldn't really complain.
That's true.
Yeah.
And we are cheap, so yeah, we're not using our own internet connection. So it's kind of hard to complain about that. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah. So I thought it might be a good idea if we actually went through our episodes, just in case any of our newer listeners were kind of a bit too lazy to go back through and really, you know, read the descriptions and get a gist what they're about.
Right.
There's also
kind of take a stroll through memory lane of the back catalog.
Yeah, although not really memory lane. That's why I have my computer in front of me, because I can't remember. So I've got them pulled up on the screen.
No, that's a good point because
I have down Alzheimer's lane than down memory lane.
Right. And not only that, I have a feeling that as we go through some of these, I'm not going to remember even recording them.
No.
Especially there were a couple in there that I had a complete memory lapse, but we'll get into that here shortly.
Well, before I stopped drinking about 3 months ago, actually 3 months ago today, I think I was drunk for about 90% of the first, I don't know, 60 or so we recorded.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure we both were.
My mind's a little fuzzy on it.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lesson there. Don't drink and podcast.
Or drink and podcast. Maybe that's why people like them. There might be something there.
Or as the Amish say, don't drink or podcast.
That's true.
Yeah. So anyway, the first episode we ever did, I didn't want to do. I didn't want to record. It was the pilot, which we call episode 0, which was as many marks as I give it out of 10, 0 out of 10.
Well, not only that, but let's also keep in mind how many times you have told me over, I guess, the past 9 or 10 months that we've been doing this to please delete that episode.
No, I'm okay keeping it now.
Yeah, but you did for a long time want me to delete it.
Yeah, I did, because I thought our reputation was going to hang on that one episode. But
Right.
by the time we'd kind of done some more episodes and said some thoroughly outrageous things which should have got us cancelled, I wasn't really worried about the pilot anymore, to be honest.
Well, and of course, during the pilot, we were using our original board, through a lot of these, for that matter, using our original board, still using our original microphones. They seem to be doing the trick. But a lot of those early episodes were with the older equipment and still trying to figure out exactly, how to use that equipment. Of course, number one, I think it was about 4 or 5 episodes before we realized our microphones were turned around.
It was 8 or 9.
Was it 8 or 9
before
that
we had these microphones that turned these bits, not this bit, we're not that stupid,
right?
But these bits here apparently have a right way round.
Yes. And we had them backwards.
So his was like picking up my voice and mine was picking up his really well. But then, yeah.
And we made some improvements to the room and some stuff like that.
And once we got the settings messed up and recorded about 4 episodes, recording through the mic on the laptop, which sounded like somebody talking to you from within a bathroom stall with the door closed and the extraction fan going. So that was a fun.
Well, I mean, part of the worst part of that was going through all of the mess of having the board set up and trying to make everything sound perfect, and then realizing we just had a laptop sitting there and it was using the laptop microphone in the room. I mean, that really sucked. It took, I think it was about 14 episodes before I figured that part out.
Yeah. So our first official episode was called Things We Never Saw Coming. And outside of the iPhone and maybe some satellites, I have no clue what we spoke about on that episode.
Yeah, I can go back and say Things We Never Saw Coming was probably episode 100 of this podcast.
Yeah, but like I said, I thought we would get there eventually, because I know we don't have much to do.
True.
Yeah. So I have no clue what episode 1 was really about. I think it was about us kind of, talking about technology, things which surprised us, which was pretty much everything. So, I mean, just open, I don't know, the Best Buy website and just point at things and say, they were surprised by that, they were surprised by that, and you're pretty much going to cover it.
Yeah.
Episode 2, I have even less idea what was that about.
What was the title?
What Do We Believe? And it's got nothing whatsoever to do with religion or politics even. It doesn't even have anything to do with politics, is it?
Yeah, that's... I have no idea what that episode's about.
I don't know. I don't know if it's like Bigfoot, UFOs, or ghosts,
maybe.
Or what.
Yeah, that's...
No idea.
No clue.
No clue. Now, number 4, episode number 3. See, I can't even remember. We're like 3 episodes in, and I can't even remember what number we're on. The Smiths and Where Did Music Go? Now, that one was obviously memorable because it was one of our favorite bands, the Smiths, and we talked about the influence on, our early lives in terms of how we related to the lyrics, how it kind of shaped the other type of bands we liked. So yeah, that was a good podcast. We didn't actually try to sing. We didn't even try and mimic Johnny Marr's guitar work.
Right. But if you remember right, in the early days of the podcast, we have some episodes that we never put out, and we tried to do one on the Smiths, and we have it recorded somewhere, and it just turned out so terrible. It's still saved on a hard drive somewhere, but we knew we were going to bring the Smiths back up. So in those very early days where we're trying to figure out some topics.
We recorded another one on the Smiths.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, a long time ago.
Oh, wow. All right, then. Episode 4, gyms, why we just don't go. Now, we're not, and we didn't make a crack at people who go to gyms and genuinely work out. This was more aimed at the posers who go there just so they can stand in front of the mirror holding their phone and taking photos of themselves.
True.
And basically trying to hit on the opposite sex and stand around posing. I mean, that whole episode was about that. Now, the why we just don't go bit is obvious because we're too bloody lazy to go to the gym. So
exactly.
I mean, that's not
well,
really,
not only are we too lazy, but we're also too cheap because we don't want to pay for it either.
Well, no, I've got those offers through the mail which say, first 3 months for free, but it still seems like a lot of hard work. I think that's the biggest barrier. I don't think the cost is an issue.
No, that might be true. Yeah. Some of them are actually kind of cheap. I mean, you can go to a gym for like $10 a month, but that's $120 a year. Yeah. I mean, I can figure out a lot better stuff to spend $120 on in a year.
Yeah. We just bought an Xbox Series X each as well. So that's our money gone for any gym membership this year.
Exactly. Well, for the next 5 or 6 years.
All right. So episode 5 was our first interview. Unless, of course, I missed something else we recorded that I can't remember. No? All right.
Who was our first interview?
Chance Munsterman, one of your friends.
Yes.
Munsterman.
Yeah, Chance Munsterman.
Oh my goodness, I didn't put that together. He's like a superhero for the Munsters. Munsterman. He's
Munsterman.
got all the physical deformities of the Munsters all rolled into one.
Yeah.
Munsterman.
Munsterman.
He's got no special abilities.
Now, this if you remember correctly, was your first vacation.
It was, yeah.
So we were in the infancy of the podcast. We had recorded a few episodes, and then you're like, hey, I'm going on vacation. Yeah. And I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? And you said, I don't know, record one by yourself.
Yeah,
and I
call
said,
up some of your friends and talk
and
to
I
them.
said, no, I'm not going to do it by myself. So I called up my buddy Chance, and I said, hey, I know you have this online show that you do once a week. How about we do an interview, and you can use the interview on your show and I can use it for a podcast. So we did an interview and had a lot of fun with that.
I still haven't watched it.
I haven't either.
No. It does have video as well. No, it doesn't. That was just audio, wasn't it?
Well, it was audio on our side. Chance had the video.
Oh, but we don't have the video on our anything, do we?
No.
Oh, okay. No. All right. Next one we had, episode 6. That's another one of your friends who I've yet to meet, actually. Layla Caraway. Now, who is she?
So Layla is
she's an activist, isn't she?
Yeah, no, she still is.
You're right.
No, Layla's an activist, and she came on and explained all about the Trinity River Project and the Panther Island debacle and all that stuff going on. And Layla being one of those first early guests, that was actually the first in-studio guest. So Chance was over Zoom, but Layla came in the studio. So she was the first in-studio guest that we had, and her husband actually sat behind the desk and everything and kind of watched the whole deal. And this, of course, was, long before we had the video and everything set up. So, and before I actually edited stuff as well.
Yeah, he had to chaperone her.
Yeah, exactly.
See, if we'd had it on video, he wouldn't have needed to turn up.
True.
Yeah.
True. But yeah, it gave us a lot of insight about the flooding and everything in the Trinity River, and kind of opened us up to some later guests that we'll get to momentarily.
Yeah. Some people say that episode 7 was the first sign that we were going off in a different direction to a lot of podcasts in terms of touching the topics which other podcasters were, had too much integrity to touch, really. So we decided to embrace witches and gingers in episode 7. Very random kind of synergy there, but apparently in the olden days, nobody liked either. And today the witches get a little bit of a free pass, but nobody still likes the gingers. That was the overall theme of it.
I think there's more people that like witches than do gingers.
Yeah, definitely now.
Yeah. And then especially around Halloween. Yeah. And I know Harry Potter gave it a really good shot, with the Weasleys, but that didn't really work out.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I told you before that on that first Harry Potter movie, right, I've never actually watched any of the movies in full, but he's got that kid with the ginger hair who's friends, right?
Yeah, that's the Weasleys.
I read a review of like the first Harry Potter movie, and like it was about 2 paragraphs, and it said, "This is completely unbelievable. Nobody would ever believe this. This would never happen in real life." And right at the bottom, it has, "No way would a ginger have 2 friends."
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that. Yeah. Number 9, we actually branch into technology and just talk about our fears and looking forward actually to robots one day being our overlords.
Yes, we do like robots. And we have in subsequent episodes brought up robots from time to time, whether it's the robot vacuum cleaners or robot police officers or all the myriad of robots. We're robot fans.
Yeah, we are robot fans.
We will welcome our robot overlords.
And we actually did no research on this topic other than what we remembered from the Terminator and similar knockoff movies in terms of the likelihood of this happening. But we did actually find some funny stories about a robot that committed suicide.
Yes.
A robot.
That was the robot security guard.
Yeah. He was, patrolling a mall and decided to throw himself in the fountain.
Yeah.
There was that robot who was like hitchhiking across Europe.
Oh, yeah.
Started in North America, then got beaten up and ripped to shreds in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love.
Right.
I don't know at that point if we did have the woman who got her hair cut
No.
in the Roomba.
No,
that was in other news story.
Yeah, that was a later story that
Yeah.
happened after our robot
Yeah.
Overlord podcast.
And that actually can be avoided because that was a cultural issue, because it was an Asian lady, and a lot of Asians apparently in the country where this happened like to sleep on the floor. So you're fair game for the Roomba if it creeps up on you and tries to kill you. Episode number 10, the rise of Karen. I know this was a big issue last year during COVID.
Right. Well, and it seems to continue to be an issue. You know, Karens are still constantly complaining to managers and all that. And of course, later on, not to get too far ahead, but then we find out one of our recurring guests is married to a woman named Karen.
Yeah.
So
that is true. I think one of the things as well about Karens is that everybody can spot them now. We just lacked a label for them before for the last 50 years. But once the label came up, now everybody's throwing it around.
Oh, it's absolutely stuck. There is no way around the Karen label going away.
Yeah.
And the ironic part is there are women named Karen out there that are trying to get the label to go away. But listen, Karen, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, tough
it's
tits,
stuck.
Karen.
Yeah, it's stuck.
Stuck with it, mate. Oh, yeah, I said if I got another dog, I was going to call it Karen, just so I can take it to the dog park and just shout, Karen, Karen, come here.
Yeah. And then there'll be some woman there named Karen upset with you that you called your dog Karen.
Or there's going to be a lot of Karens around who are going to be turned around like, oh, not this again.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I'll go there every day. Episode 12, we revisited music again and discussed the song Losing My Religion by R.E.M. One of our favorite songs. Not much to talk about other than we kind of went through the lyrics and some of the symbolism in the video, which was like one of our favorite videos. Absolutely awesome song from an awesome album. But I can't really remember much about the show other than that.
No, I don't
cannot remember it.
I know we got into the song pretty deep.
I remember writing the lyrics down and you reading it and asking me, what does that say?
Yes.
Yeah, on the first line.
I do vaguely remember that.
Yeah. Episode 13, Come Armageddon Come, which is actually a line from a Morrissey song. Every day is like Sunday. But we were talking about different end of the world scenarios, which ones we'd prefer over others.
Yes.
Yeah. Which ones were more likely than others?
I don't think we came to a definitive conclusion on which one would be our favorite.
Well, we decided when we recorded it not to do Plague, because our little touch of Plague with COVID, we decided that's an inconvenient way for everybody to go.
Yes. Yeah, so we didn't want to do disease.
Choosing Giant Asteroid, I think.
Probably so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's quick.
Yeah.
It ends it quick.
Now, number 15, and looking back, I wasn't too fond of this episode. It was called iPhone Serial Killer, and it's basically about everything that the iPhone had replaced, you know, like the regular desktop calculator, you know, camera and various other things. You know, anybody could sit down and make a list of these things, but I think we were kind of stuck for a talk about.
I think that was one of the times where we were struggling for content and we were trying to figure out what to do. And you kind of threw that together, you know, the last minute and said, hey, what about this? And I said, all right, yeah, let's go. Let's hit record.
Well, I think it was either that or getting your mum on the show. So that wasn't going to work.
We didn't want to do that.
Number 16, we bitch about evolution. I want a refund. Not just because of some of the stupid animals out there or animals which are annoying and dangerous and seem to...
Well, yeah, but I think part of the reason why we did the evolution one is because we were so disappointed in the iPhone one.
No, I think actually what we did it is because most of the talk was about wanting to grow a third arm to help out, because evolution
to hold the iPhone
should have figured out by now. Now I think that was to kind of like play games with lots of buttons on it. It would help playing Xbox. Yeah, stuff.
That or that crazy N64 controller that had the three deals. Yeah, you needed three hands to use that controller. True.
I remember actually laying on the bed with that controller, and remember it was pointy, the bit in the middle, and you'd lay that on the chest and actually make your stomach hurt after a while, where you'd hold it and that thing was constantly digging in your gut.
Yeah.
Or maybe I was just a tubby bastard as a kid. I can't remember.
Yeah, maybe both.
Right. Then we did release the first of our bonus episodes, and we did record 3 other of these, but they are still in editing about 7 months later for some reasons.
Which are you talking about? The Sunday Sevens?
Yeah, Sunday
Oh.
Sevens, part 1. We did release that. We chose some random topics, amazingly 7 of them, and just decided to chat about them.
Right. So but the first Sunday Sevens we did by ourselves,
Yeah,
right?
and that went all right.
Yeah.
We did try a second one, but we accidentally discovered Delta 8 at that time.
Yes.
But we didn't discover the correct dosage of Delta 8.
True.
And so it's basically sounds like 2 third grade girls laughing about Scooby-Doo for an hour and a half.
That's true.
So we will release that one later, actually.
Yeah.
But was that even a Sunday Sevens one? How does that make a Sunday Sevens?
No,
I talked about Scooby-Doo.
No. Because the second Sunday Sevens was with Jason you're going to get to here. The Scooby-Doo one.
Yeah.
No, the Scooby-Doo one was not really a Sunday Sevens.
No, it wasn't, was it?
Yeah.
That was just us having
that
Delta
was
8 and talking about Scooby-Doo.
that was just ridiculousness.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Episode 17, we actually had our friend and beer sponsor, Jason DeBord, on Alien Ale with
and
Martian
of course,
Margaritas.
Y'all probably seen our kegerator in the back and our Alien Ale cups and our 6-packs in the back. Big thanks to Jason DeBord at Martian Margaritas with Alien Ale. They keep us in beer, even though you're drying out at the moment, but it's still your favorite beer.
Yep, absolutely,
once you decide...
I sniff it every now and then.
Yeah, you do like the smell of it. You do every time we get ready, and I go over there to the kegerator and I pour me a cup. You still enjoy the smell of it. You're just drying out at the moment. Nothing wrong with that. So...
And Jason, I want to thank you for being one of the major reasons why we were drunk for the first 60 episodes. So,
yes. Pretty much the reason. I don't even think he's the major reason. I think he is the reason. If we had to actually go to the store and buy our own beer, we probably wouldn't have been drunk. But then when he comes showing up with a kegerator and says, "Hey, we'll keep you in kegs of free beer," that was it went downhill. It went downhill.
Yeah. So on to episode 18, we addressed the topic of men in skirts, basically avoiding the trans kind of conversation, but just basically addressing the fact that some men have decided that they want to wear dresses and skirts, which, fair enough if you want to dress like that, but equally understand, just like if you're wearing an ugly sweater, you are going to get a comment or two.
Exactly.
If you're 280 pounds with a beard wearing a dress, somebody's going to say, well, maybe not if he's 280 because he might punch you in the mouth. But if you're 120 and a male and skinny and wearing a dress, we're going to just assume you're like from San Francisco or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
and I do want to make a point though that we were not attacking kilts.
No.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with kilts.
Sorry, we're attacking in kilts.
Or that.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay. Yeah. So 19 and 20, we did 2 episodes for Halloween. Originally it was 1 episode, but I think we got drunk and just rambled on, so we split it in 2.
Yeah.
The first one was on traditions. Second one was on superstitions. And I did a great job of just clicking on like 2 kids' websites, I think, which popped up in Google earlier.
Right.
And just use those.
Yeah. And we also wanted to make sure that, we separated those out because we didn't want to do another Halloween episode like every Halloween where it's just like, hey, let's get all the stuff about Halloween that we want to talk about out of the way. And so we did that. So that's why we separated those out. And we released them very close to Halloween.
Yeah. A couple of days before.
Was it a couple of days? Yeah, 29th. Okay.
Yeah. Although really, it's a sure sign that you've probably got no friends or nothing better to do if you managed to listen to both of those before Halloween with just a couple of days' notice.
True. Yeah, that's a good point.
Oh, we can hear the people next door.
Yeah.
We've actually got some people next door who, at the same time each day, tend to have a coughing fit, which I think
we've never met them, but we call them Doc Holiday because just all of a sudden during the day they will just start coughing, and we can't set your watch by it or anything like that, but just all of a sudden they just start coughing.
Yeah, it's our very little Wuhan laboratory next door because they just sound sickly every day.
Maybe that's what they're doing over there.
I'm thinking they either pack lunches where they're allergic to some of the ingredients and their throats close up so they can't breathe properly and just start choking. But then they go through a period where there's like sneezing and
Yeah.
snotting and that kind of
It does
noise.
Yeah, it does get bad.
Yeah.
So
it makes entertaining background noise for the podcast.
yeah, that's true.
Because we've tried soundproofing it, but
yeah, it's just
some
we
of these
gave up.
coughs are like about 130 decibels.
Although I just realized I never even put our little soundproofing blanket under the door either for this one.
Yeah.
I guess that's part of the problem with actually, doing this video stuff now. You realize, I just looked over there and I'm like, oh, I forgot to put the blanket under the door that helps keep some of the sound down.
I can see it under your arm.
Yeah, exactly. It's
look at that. No expense spared.
Yeah, let me go fix that while you introduce the next one.
He actually stole that blanket off a homeless person near the bridge, near I-35, pretty close to the studio. The guy was like passed out drunk. There wasn't too much pee or vomit on it, so we kind of washed it down with a hose, let it dry in the sun, and
so that's
voila, it's our sound blocker for the studio door.
It does a pretty good job.
It does
pretty good.
Psychosomatic. We're not sure if it does anything, to be honest. We did discuss the election, the general election last year for president, episode 21. We actually managed to steer clear, really, of any.
Yeah, we didn't get on one side or the other. Yeah.
No, we kind of pissed on both of them, really.
As you should.
Yeah.
And we were fair in that one.
Yeah. No.
Sure.
Neither party cares about you, so
yeah,
just take it for what it's worth. Now, episode 22 is one of our greatest achievements in podcasting and possibly in the world of podcasting, because we interviewed a man who dug holes.
Yeah. Good old Bill Vaughn.
Yeah, Bill Vaughn, Journey to the Center of the Earth with Bill Vaughn. Now, I chose that title before he came on the show because I had these visions of, oh my goodness, I wonder if he's kind of like dug down, found like dinosaur skeletons, like Nephilim skeletons,
right,
like
or
Bigfoot skeletons.
Or maybe he's going out on one of these hole digging expeditions
in the Arctic and crap.
Yeah, or hits oil or things like this. I mean, we got all excited.
Yeah.
We got all excited. We actually, both of us, I think this was the first one where we both actually did research. Yeah. And I did some research
Not enough.
But I did some research on deep holes that had been dug in Russia. Yeah. And we had all kinds of stuff printed out, sitting on our table here, ready to go. In walks Bill, and we get rolling, and we find out he digs holes between 12 to 18 inches deep.
Well, we introduced him first, and I was still pretty buzzed, not just from the alien ale, but I mean, I was pretty excited about the topic. Because actually, this was the first one I was here for the guest, wasn't it?
No, you were here for
Jason. Yeah, I can't remember that one because Jason is the beer guy. So
yeah, that's true.
Don't remember that.
That's when it all started.
Yeah. I remember we tried recording a Sunday Sevens with Jason, and I got the hiccups badly. I managed to knock a beer all over the desk.
Yeah.
I got hiccups badly. Then he was trying to give me advice to get rid of hiccups, but then we discovered that I have no flexibility whatsoever.
So
I couldn't bend over and hold my breath and do whatever. So that worked well. So anyway, Bill Vaughn, we're 2 minutes in, and we still haven't figured out kind of like what he does exactly. And so I asked, so how many holes a month do you kind of dig on average? And he was like, about 400 or 500. And I thought, wow, that's impressive. He must have like the largest hole digging company in the world.
Right.
And so I asked the next question of, so how deep on average are these holes? Expecting like, a quarter of a mile, half a mile, sometimes a mile and a half, have to be pretty careful. Equipment overheats and it costs like about $10 million a digger. No, the answer was between 12 and 16 inches.
Yeah.
And I think the most interesting thing he'd uncovered was an old slipper, which he dug up while building the foundation for a patio. But we managed to carry that episode for 40 minutes.
Yes. And we actually had fun. And look, Bill Vaughn, we still love you, even though you stole our food.
Oh, and he stole our food.
He stole our food.
He
stole our food. Yes.
Yeah. He came from a restaurant, supposedly with a starter and an entree. We found out about a month later there should have been a starter because we just got the entree. And now looking back at it, there was a lot of like free space around that entree. I kind of thought at the time, wow, that's quite a big container to put that much food in.
I didn't even think about that, but you're right. You're absolutely right.
So I think he could have eaten the starter and some of the entree as well.
Yeah. Bill Vaughn stole our food.
He stole our food and dig shallow holes.
Maybe our next run of T-shirts, we have one made that says Bill Vaughn stole my food.
Yeah.
We'll give you one of those, Bill.
Yeah, we will. We'll make you pay for it, though. Right. Episode 23, we did the next great music genre. We decided that, there was an untapped market out there, but we just needed to find out what it was. And so we came up with gay Asian disco.
Oh, that's right.
Or Gaysian for short.
Yes.
Yeah.
We had two reasons why we did that podcast. Number one, we got into a discussion before we recorded that podcast because we were under the complete assumption that our phones are listening to us like crazy. So we kept texting Gay Asian Disco back and forth. Hey, what are you doing this weekend? I'm listening to Gay Asian Disco. We kept saying Gay Asian Disco as much as we could just to see if we could get something in our searches to populate Gay Asian Disco to make sure it didn't exist. And then we found out it didn't exist. And then we said, okay, so now let's go ahead and invent this music genre. I don't think it still exists.
It doesn't exist yet. I
thought we were supposed to create it.
I did create a couple of tracks on my phone.
Oh, that's right.
With it, which I haven't kind of produced or gone any further with yet. It's still on the back burner, but
maybe next year.
Maybe next year.
Yeah.
I don't know if right now is the best time.
Probably
for
not.
Gaysian music.
No. Although right now as we record this, the Tokyo Olympics are going on.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, we could have sold that to some of the commercials.
Right. Especially for the ice skating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's summer.
Olympics.
That's Winter Olympics.
I don't know if they have.
They don't do any skating in the Summer Olympics.
No.
That wouldn't work.
Yeah. But what I was going to say about the Asian music, there was something. Oh, yeah, that was it. So when we did these searches, like in Google and spoke to Siri, I actually got a banner ad appear at the top of one website saying gay, chubby, Asian dating online. So if you are a gay, chubby Asian who's looking to date online, just type those words into Google and a website exists purely for gay, chubby Asians to date.
Hey,
online.
to each their own.
Yeah. Yeah. So episode 24, we switched to Bollywood. This is probably where we first fell in love with India.
Yes.
Bollywood, for those of you who don't know, is actually India's version of Hollywood. It's the second largest movie producing area in the world. And they produce a lot of movies, about 3 or 4 times as many movies as Hollywood does each year.
Yeah, I was shocked. I knew literally nothing about Bollywood. And that was one of the first episodes I think I learned a ton from because you did a lot of research.
I did. Well, first of all, you discovered that a lot of the Indian actresses are hot.
Yes.
Super hot.
That's
very pretty.
That's true.
The second thing we learned is it doesn't matter what the genre of the movie, there is singing and dancing in it. So if there is a version, like an Indian version of Schindler's List, at some point he's reading from the list, singing and dancing.
Right. Yeah. No, that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
And then it was shortly after that, not to jump too far ahead in our timeline, that we gained our Indian following.
We did.
And we love our Indian listeners.
Yeah, we do. And we're talking about the ones who live in India, by the way.
Right.
Before anybody says anything.
Yeah.
Episode 25, Smoking Windmill Barbecue with Sean Merchant. That was the restaurant where Bill Vaughn was supposed to bring us our free meal from. So free that he freely ate.
That's true.
At least half of it.
Yeah, but we learned a lot about the restaurant industry from Sean. And we honestly thought Sean was going to bring along some more food, but he didn't.
No,
he didn't.
We'd have done it remotely if we'd have known that.
Yes, yeah, but he showed up. He did bring beer, but we already had beer. We didn't have any food, and we didn't eat dinner that night. And we figured, well, there's no reason to eat dinner. We've got a guy coming in from Smoking Windmill Barbecue, the owner. That's where Bill Vaughn brought the food from. So we're going to get a free meal. Yeah, and so then he walked in and said, no food. This is going to go bad because we're going to be drinking.
Was palatable.
Yes, it was.
You know, sometimes people say or you could cut the atmosphere with a knife. You could cut the hunger with a knife.
Yes.
Because I had literally waiting all day. I had eaten some form of breakfast, like a protein bar, before I came to the studio that day. The shepherd rarely eats until like later on during the day anyway, unless I bring him in some spicy chips or something. And we were waiting and waiting, and we got nothing.
Yes.
Yeah. So next time that happens, we'll just be doing that remote, sitting here eating a Chick-fil-A or something.
Now, we did learn a lot, but we left hungry.
I can't
we left starving.
His food was awesome, though.
His food is awesome.
They didn't give us any more free food, but no, smoking windmill barbecue food is awesome. And I did actually get a Thanksgiving turkey.
Oh, that's right. You picked your turkey up from there.
Yeah, and that was absolutely incredible. The most flavorful turkey I've ever had, and he does that every year. So you can find, actually, if you go to episode 25 on our website, it will have the links. And if you live locally, North Texas area, definitely go check them out because their food is incredible.
It is fantastic food. What is it? The UFO, that deal? That's what I had. I got that, and their burn-ins, fantastic. The brisket's good. The potato salad's good. Look, it's all good. It really is. It's all good. I mean, I could just go down the menu and say, "Yep, good." It's all good. Yeah. And they're right next door to Martian Margaritas, where Alien Ale's from. So you go in there, you go ahead and place your order while Sean's getting it ready for you. You walk next door, you go have an Alien Ale. And by the time you're done with that beer, you walk back next door and your food's ready to go. And you can eat it there if you want to, or, they'll pack it up for you to take it home. Yeah.
Or get an Uber home, because do not trust the alcohol content on the cans of Alien Ale.
No, do not trust the content.
It's basically beer tasting vodka.
Yes. Yeah. Jason's being a little sneaky on that one.
He is. So episode 26, we go back to music and we talk about U2's album, The Unforgettable Fire, which for me, I think it marked an era where I was really into kind of not quite alt rock at that point, because I'm not sure alt rock existed as a thing back then, but that whole album,
that was kind of the infancy of it.
Yeah, it was a kind of theme album, and it's just one of those albums which sticks out, among a lot of others from that time.
Right.
And some great songs on there like Bad.
We went through the whole record and all that. No, that was a
fantastic album.
Yeah, that was a fun episode.
Yeah. After that, ironically, we released a bonus recap of episodes 1 to 5. The ones where we can't really remember anything in it other than talking about the Smiths, and just put together a whole bunch of clips.
Actually, we didn't.
Oh, no. Oh, we didn't.
That was my boy that did that. That
was the son that did that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I haven't listened to it. He might have even put in bits from other people's podcasts just to cheer.
We honestly don't know what's in that, because I've never listened to it either. No. But my boy decided he was going to piece together some like clips from 1 to 5. And honestly, he was supposed to do like 6 to 10. And every time we did 5 episodes, he was going to put these recaps together for us. And I said, yeah, go ahead and do it. So he did the first 5. He said, well, here it is. And so I'm like, okay, well, we'll release that. And I never listened to it. So yeah, for all we know, it's not even our podcast on there.
No, we don't know.
Yeah. If it's not, let us know, because we're too lazy to go back and listen to it.
Well, we're not going to change it. Probably just keep it to yourself.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, even if it's not our podcast, we'll just leave it up there.
Yeah, YouTube is still going to pay for us every time somebody clicks on it.
Yeah, so that's true. Yeah, might as well leave it.
Yeah, so episode 27, last year, we talked about vaccines before the vaccine was really out for COVID. Right. It was still in its experimental stage, as it still kind of is.
Well, we had that list of, hey, here's some things maybe we want to talk about. And so vaccines was on the list, and we went ahead and did that, not even knowing that very soon after they were going to talk about the COVID vaccine and the different variants of the vaccine and all that stuff. That was lucky, basically, that we just decided to have that episode. And then boom, it was like a week and a half later, it was like, oh, the vaccines are coming out for this. And we're like, oh, well, we timed that one good, but that was pure luck of the draw. It's not like we had insider information from our buddy Eric to tell us to go ahead and do this and get that episode out there.
Yeah.
So,
and by that point, we'd already had COVID for an afternoon.
Yeah.
And so we were already decided they could stick the vaccines up the hole.
But you know what? If you look back on COVID, it did you a favor. because you missed watching episode 8 because of COVID.
I didn't have COVID that day.
I thought that was the
I
day.
thought I had a headache or something that day.
I thought that was when you had
No,
the COVID.
I had a headache. No, the COVID didn't last that long. COVID didn't last as long as episode 8.
No, that's true.
COVID, I think I had the symptoms.
I thought that's when you had the COVID, though.
No, I had it like at about 8 o'clock at night, and it lasted to about 10 o'clock, and then it went away, and so I ate a pizza.
Oh.
And then I got tested for the antibodies about a week later, and oh yeah, you had COVID.
Yeah, okay. Well,
Yeah, fair enough.
we'll go with that.
Yeah. So episode 28 is where we really got into the kind of guests that, you know, the world was waiting for. We got our local library representative.
Oh,
from the
yeah, Kelly.
Keller Library. And amazingly, even though that was episode 28, she had the most YouTube views of any podcast we had done by that point.
Now, that's true. There were a lot of people that jumped on
Just
and
ridiculous.
listened to it on YouTube, and we had a lot of downloads of it as well. Kelly told a very interesting story about the library as of today and what you can actually get out of the library, because I just thought it was books, but turns out you can do a lot more at the library. So opened my eyes to you know why we should still have public libraries. So
They've even got sex or dating kits at the public library.
that's true.
You can't use them at the library, but they do have them.
Well, she never.
No,
No,
take them home, I think.
no, she never said you
No,
couldn't.
she said you can rent them out and you bring them back.
Yeah, but she never said you couldn't use them at the library.
What do you think? They have a special space for it,
Possibly.
like an area designated for using the dating kits for people who've got kids at home and
Right.
want some not
If-
really privacy.
If they
but-
don't, maybe they should.
yeah,
So there's
no,
that.
that's true. Oh, and she did win after coming on that podcast. She won Library Employee of the Year.
Oh, no, not library
No.
employee of the year, city employee of the
City
year.
Employee of the Year.
Yeah.
And they did actually mention in the speech that she came on our podcast. So,
Yeah. And she got her own parking space.
yeah, she
Yeah.
did.
So
Exactly. Wasn't it like 2 spaces further away from where she
probably,
parks?
yeah, because I don't think the library parking lot's ever that full.
Yeah, I
but
think it was all drive-through at that point because of COVID, so
oh,
nobody was going
that-
in.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so it was 2 spaces further
Yeah.
away from where she
The
normally
sad
parks.
part is she used to park in the shade. Now she
Yeah,
has to park in the
she's-
sun.
yeah,
So
the sun,
yeah.
yeah. 29, episode 29, we addressed Thanksgiving, if for no other reasons, just as clickbait, because we figured some people might want to hear
Right.
something about Thanksgiving, especially people who don't really have families or close friends of their own, maybe because they're really dislikable, but
Yes.
still want to share in the Thanksgiving spirit and
Well,
listen to it.
not only that, but we were still kind of playing off we did a Halloween one, we did an election one. It's like, hey, Thanksgiving's coming up. Are
Yeah.
we supposed to do a Thanksgiving one? Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
So that's why we did the
We
Thanksgiving
will
one.
milk all holidays next
Yes.
year, Juneteenth. It's going to be an episode.
Oh, we missed Juneteenth.
Well, it
this year,
didn't
did-
exist officially this year as a holiday day.
Well, yeah, I guess it was unofficial.
Yeah.
So now it's officially
Yeah,
one.
next
So
year-
so next year, gosh,
Yeah.
how are we going to remember that?
I don't know.
We'll forget.
I don't know. What month is it in?
April?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
April 15th.
Right.
Okay. So, episode 36 was a breakthrough for us because we released our trailer, the trailer that we have in front of our videos on YouTube.
Oh, that's right.
An absolutely incredible piece. Now, how much did we pay for that bit?
$5.
$5. So we paid
Yes.
$5 for the logo and $5 for our trailer.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is correct.
So if anybody wants a logo or a trailer doing, get in touch with us and we would forward you to the guy who...
Well, now, just so we're
logo.
clear, 2 different people
Yeah.
did that. One dude did our logo. Another dude did the trailer.
Yeah. Oh, and the dude who did the voiceover for our
Oh, that's a different dude.
intro, that's a different dude. But
that's
was he $5 as well?
He's a little more than $5.
A little more than $5.
Yeah, because he did the intro and the outro.
Yeah.
So I had to pay more than $5 for that one,
Right.
but not that much more.
Yeah. Well
But-
worth the money though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So episode 30, we go very deep into our minds and talk about simulation theory. Now, this was one which we had to look up a lot because other than the song by Muse, my understanding of simulation theory outside of Matrix related
Right.
stuff, I didn't really know what it was on about. And by the end of it, still not 100% sure.
I'm still pretty sure my understanding of it is the Matrix, and that's about it.
Yeah. And the Muse
That and that
song,
Ready
so-
Player One.
Yeah.
And that's about it. That's all I still
So
know.
if you want to learn about simulation theory, there are lots of good links online. But perhaps if you'd like to listen to two people making fun of the simulation theory, then listen to our podcast.
Yep.
Now, episode 31, we had one of my favorite guests on, interview with Mr. Jay Davis.
Oh, yeah. We like Jay.
Great comedian. He's got a couple of his own shows on Amazon. He has an animated series. Fantastic writer, director, incredible guy.
By the way, since this is episode 100, episode 99 is the return of Jay Davis.
Yeah.
And I know I'm kind of jumping ahead, but we like Jay, and we're going to have a few guests back, but Jay was one of those early guests where we decided, hey, we want to have him back and we want to catch up. So episode 99 is where Jay Davis comes back and catches us up with everything he had done since that first episode.
Yeah. Episode 32, we talk about one of our great loves, Star Wars, but we then discuss not one of our great loves, the Star Wars prequels.
Yes.
In that episode, where, funnily enough, it's like, once it's compared to the final trilogy, it's really not bad.
True.
You know, it kind of went up like about 3 points on IMDb after the final trilogy came out, because people would go in there and be like, I'm sorry for what I said.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really sorry for a lot of things I said about the prequels.
Right.
After I saw the sequels.
I mean, from the first 6 episodes, you're like, okay, Jar Jar Binks, I want to punch in the face.
Right.
After episode,
Still do.
Yeah. After episode 7 and 8, he's not really even in the top 5. Now I still want to punch him in the face. Probably kick him in his flappy nuts as well. I don't know what.
I don't know what the Gungans
I
have
don't
either.
know how they mate. I don't know if they just like lay eggs, or I don't know. It's an awkward topic. Really.
Yeah. Don't want to get too deep into that one. No.
But yeah, so he's not our least favorite character anymore.
True. Yeah.
Right.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
You tall, lanky, annoying dick.
Gungan. Synonymous terms.
Yeah. Episode 33 was entitled Pieces of 8. It was all about pirates, actually. We had a great discussion about pirates.
Yes.
History of pirates, famous pirates. We did actually record a little sketch that I wrote with both of us playing the characters. Actually, I played 2 characters.
You had to play 2 because you wrote 3 characters for some reason, and then you forgot there's only 2 of us, so you had to play 2 of the characters.
Yeah, and we kind of enacted that, but I don't know what kind of environment we could actually release that podcast, because it was a little bit controversial.
It was. We ended up cutting it from the actual podcast.
We still have it.
We still have it. But yeah, we would have probably
once
got in trouble.
Yeah, if we ever get too big to cancel like Joe Rogan, then we'll release it.
Yeah,
because he can say anything and get away with it. And once we get to that point, we will release it. It is funny, and it's not really offensive unless you're looking to be offended.
True.
There's a few offensive bits in it.
Yeah.
There is a few offensive, but not a lot.
It's offensive.
It is somewhat offensive.
It's offensive.
So then we get into another one of my vacations, because you do 2 back-to-back interviews, episode 34 and 35. You're interviewing Kevin Brennan.
Yeah.
And on 35, Ran to Loose.
Yeah. So that was just before Christmas time. I want to say it was sometime around Christmas. It was December-ish. And so you went on yet another vacation. And so I got a hold of my friend Kevin Brennan, who lives in Los Angeles and does a lot of writing and acting and all that out there. Been in several movies and everything. I grew up with him. We went to high school together and everything. So I said, hey, you're in town. Hey, let's go ahead and do a podcast episode. So did it remotely, even though we were both in the same town, and got that recorded. And that was one that we put out on video on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then after Kevin called a friend of mine, Ran Toulouse, who's in the mortgage business, knows everything about writing a Texas mortgage, and said, hey, look, there's people out here trying to buy houses. Lots of people are moving into Texas. Maybe they need to find out a little bit more about mortgages. So if you have questions about that, listen to that podcast, get a hold of him. He's your dude.
Yeah, and he's probably a really good person to reach out to right now, given all the house prices going through the roof. But that's only going to last for a period of time. So if you want to cash in and go live in a trailer, or maybe get a Winnebago or something, now is the time to do that.
Yep.
So,
True.
Episode 36, we touched on, not inappropriately, we touched on one of our favorite topics, cryptocurrency. Talked a lot about Bitcoin, the origins of Bitcoin, how cryptocurrency works, although I'm not entirely sure the description I gave in the podcast is how it works.
I don't think anybody's entirely sure how it works, but we know it works.
It works.
I mean, it's still popular. Yeah. It's rolling out. Elon Musk is controlling it, but that's okay.
Yeah, and we have got more cryptocurrency since that episode.
That is true.
We have been collecting it steadily, gaining our wealth, hiding it for tax reasons.
Yeah, half a penny at a time.
Yeah,
one of these days we're going to cash in and we are going to buy a Starbucks.
Yeah.
And not the restaurant, just an actual drink.
I don't know. We might have enough money by then. Why it's going?
No, you never know.
Yeah. No. Mm-hmm. Episode 38. For some strange reason, we decided to return to science, which, after going through the simulation theory, we probably should have knocked it back a few months. But it's called "Get Out of My Wormhole," and despite our lack of understanding on simulation theory, we discovered that we understand wormholes somewhat less than simulation theory.
This is one, before we got started with recording this episode, you said, hey, there's some of these I don't remember anything about. The Get Out of My Wormhole one, I even forgot we did that one. I know zero about what we said during that one.
The only thing I remember about that episode is before we recorded it, because I did all the research on that one, is I showed you the piece of paper. Well, we both did that thing where you fold the piece of paper and draw a circle on it and say, the shortcut is when you fold the paper over.
Oh, right.
And that's basically the idea behind a wormhole.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I still didn't really understand it because I don't understand
either.
How you move something two-dimensionally into 4 dimensions and then...
I don't know. I know 3D movies, you have to wear the glasses.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Unless you've got... even if you've got a 3D TV?
I think you still have to wear glasses, even if you have a 3D TV.
That's as bad as getting the COVID vaccine and still having to wear a mask.
Yeah. Very close to it.
Yeah. So episode 39, we touch upon Christmas, something we did know something about. And we had recollections of Christmas memories from childhood. Decided
that was continuing to go on with our theory that, here's another holiday, so here's an easy topic to do a podcast on.
Yeah, and I can't remember, but I don't think you got crap for Christmas, and I didn't get much for Christmas because my girlfriend was saving up for my Xbox Series X at the time, which we couldn't find.
But remember, at this time, back at Christmas time, that's what we both wanted.
Yeah.
And we were out there hunting. It's well, if I can't have this, I don't want anything. Yeah. So we were being kind of brats a little bit, saying, well, if I can't have my Xbox Series X, I don't want anything for Christmas. And that's pretty much what we got.
Yeah, unfortunately, that got pretty much fulfilled to the letter.
Yes.
And for
both of us.
Disappointing that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
So episode 40, we had an interview with an author named Ian Park, who lives over the pond in my original country, England.
Yes, that was a very difficult episode for me to understand what the two of them were talking about, because the English accents really got turned on deep during that, and I got lost. During most of that. But Ian's an interesting guy, has a publishing company, has several authors underneath him. That they're all putting out great books, so check out Bad Press Inc. and give him a shout.
Yeah. Episode 41, we talked about beards. Now, during the research part of this, I discovered that a beard was a man a man who hangs around. No, hold on. A homosexual man who hangs around women as a friend, or is it? Who pretends to be a
No, I thought it was
boyfriend,
a heterosexual man who hangs around lesbians.
Is it?
I think so. I think that's what that is.
Well, you can see, obviously, from the research we did, we've clearly remembered.
Yeah.
But we did put the disclaimer in there that we weren't talking about those type of beards. We were talking about these type of beards.
Right. Right.
not
Yeah.
actually. And we did get free sample from some
from
company.
from twobeards.club. So two beards, TWO beards.club.
Yeah.
They've got lots of beard products. They sent us some samples and everything. And if you put in Wolf Shepherd at checkout, you get a discount from them. So check them out if you're buying, beard products like beard oil or, any of that stuff. Get it from those guys. It's all natural stuff. The one smelled like you could eat it.
Yeah.
I mean, I still have a little bit left. So, I mean, look how long ago that was. And those two samples they sent, I still have that. So this stuff lasts a long time. So keep that in mind too.
Yeah, he rubs it on his balls on date night with his wife, actually.
That's why it lasts so long, because date nights are like twice a year.
So episode 42, again, we decided to cash in on the new year and released Welcome to 2021, where we gave, I don't know, we kind of figured it'd be more of the same. It'd be a crap hole like 2020. But so far, our the first few months, it's actually been all right, isn't it?
It's not been bad.
Yeah,
it's been better than 2020, but that's not really saying much.
I mean, there are a few kind of stabs to the heart with Pepe Le Pew getting cancelled, things like that.
Poor Pepe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that kind of ruined the beginning of 2021 for us.
Yes.
But it's picked up because, like I said, we recently got a Series X. So.
Yes. No, that's true.
Yeah.
That's been the highlight so far of 2021, I think.
Yeah. Now, on episode 43, we actually had a friend of mine come into the studio, a guy named Landon Hughes, and he was talking about autism and being on the spectrum because as many of our listeners know, my son has autism. He's 8 years old, and Landon was actually his therapist for a few years. Absolutely fantastic guy. And despite even everything I've learned across the years, having a son with autism, he was very educational, taught us a lot. Fantastic guy, knows all his stuff. He was such a blessing to my son. My son absolutely loves him. Really interesting podcast. If you have any friends, relatives who have any kids on the spectrum, it's a wonderful podcast to listen to. It
that
really
actually was one where I remember when you said we were going to bring Landon in, and I said, look, you're going to have to carry this one. I don't really know all that much about it. I don't know how much I'm going to interject. And you said, hey, I've got this handled. And I ended up, I think, asking him more questions than you did. I mean, it was really interesting what the guy had to say. It really was. That's one of our more educational podcasts that you can definitely walk away from that one and learn something.
Yeah. Now, ironically, I forgot to mention episode number 37. And the reason
did you skip over one?
And the reason it's ironic is it was entitled Down Memory Lane, where we actually talk about different parts of the brain and its role in memories and, how short-term memory can be damaged, how you can improve your memory, all this stuff. And forgot to mention that one. Just glanced over the top of it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we hardly ever have the computer in front of us, but there was no way we were going to remember all these episodes.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
And even with the computer in front of us,
Clearly
we still
doesn't help.
forgot it.
Yeah.
We can't even read a screen.
Yeah. So it's still not going to be 100% success rate from now. But actually, you know what? That puts me at ease because I was waiting to screw up. And now it's been and gone.
Yeah. Now it's behind us and we'll just move forward. Yeah. It'll happen again.
Yeah. So episode number 44, we talk about the Jerusalem syndrome.
Oh, wait a second.
Came up with,
you skipped it way back there. So it took us like 7 or 8 episodes for you to realize we skipped that one.
Yeah, kind of.
I literally thought we were on 38 until you said episode 44.
No.
So there's our next screw up.
I was just scrolling and saw it disappear into the distance. And I was like, don't think I talked about
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jerusalem syndrome.
Yeah, now
that's interesting.
That was a topic you came up with. For those of you who don't know about it, when people go to Jerusalem, some people develop this syndrome, hence the Jerusalem syndrome, where they're overtaken by religious fervents. And there's been a lot of people who have been admitted to psychiatric hospitals because it's been so intense that, they've completely lost the plot, basically.
Yeah.
And it's lasted sometimes weeks after they've come home, but in the majority of cases, it just disappears as soon as they get to the airport.
Once they get out of Jerusalem, it goes away.
Yeah.
Like literally, the only way to get it is to go over there, and the only way to get rid of it is to get out of there.
Yeah.
It's very bizarre.
Yeah, I tried catching it on the internet using Google Earth, but it didn't work as well as going to Jerusalem.
I wonder with that new Microsoft Flight Simulator on the X, if we fly to Jerusalem, if we can catch it that way.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna kind of explore like famous areas on Flight Simulator, but at the moment I'm just concentrating on smashing the plane into ex-girlfriends' houses and stuff. So.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That's going to take you a while.
That's going to take a long time.
Yeah, I hope there's an achievement for that.
There should be.
Yes.
Yeah. So episode 45, great episode for us. We had an interview with Dallas Jenkins, who's the writer and director of The Chosen.
Yes.
Which is a TV show based upon the life and times of Jesus, actually from Jesus's perspective. Dallas is an awesome guy, fantastic writer and director. And he said he's actually going to make 7 seasons of The Chosen. I think he's just released season 2.
Yeah, season 2 is out, and I actually had a chance to catch up with Dallas a few days ago on Clubhouse. And they had just finished that up, and we're gearing up for season 3, and show's plugging along real well. So if you're looking for something to watch out there, watch The Chosen. I mean, it's completely crowdfunded. Doesn't cost you anything to watch it. There's an app that goes along with it. You want to donate some money towards the show, you can. You don't have to. All they ask is that you just share the show around and watch the show, and it's really, really well done.
Yeah.
So Dallas and crew. Let's not just say Dallas does the whole thing himself. He's got a crew behind him and everything else too. But Dallas is that writer and director, and he did a great job and continues to do a great job with the show.
Yep. Episode 46, one of our most successful episodes, was with another one of our friends, Scott Jr. Erickson, who is the author of The Unknown Mongol.
The Unknown Mongol. Yes.
About being in the Mongol motorbike club.
Or as we say in America, motorcycle club.
Yep.
So, Junior wrote 2 books, The Unknown Mongol and The Unknown Mongol 2. And I've known Junior for a while, back when I wrote some biker books and everything. We kind of crossed paths and traded some emails back and forth. So when the podcast thing came along, I hollered at him and I said, "Hey, Junior, you mind coming on the podcast? Let's promote your book, and let me ask you some questions." When the Wolf said, one of our more successful podcasts, that's true. It generated the most comments, the most emails and everything about it. And a lot of them were, "Why do you keep interrupting the guy? Why do you keep interrupting him?" And I just kind of blew everything off. And the Wolf went on to some of the YouTube comments and said, "Hey, we're going to do a Q&A, just hang tight." I finally put a comment out there saying, "Look, I wasn't interrupting Junior. That's the way I edited that one. And it just came off that way because I made the edits so tight on there. It sounded like I was interrupting him. But Junior is the last guy that I'm going to interrupt, because he'll hop on his bike and come over here to Texas and, mess me up." So The good news is that I did speak with Junior Sunday, actually, a few days ago. And Junior is going to come back on the podcast. It's going to be video. It's going to be Q&A. I'm just going to ask him all these questions that have been submitted. The list has gotten really long. Junior's got some extra stuff he wants to tell us with what's been going on. That's going to come out real soon, so stay tuned for that. But catch yourself up with the original Junior podcast so you can, get that backstory.
Now, we did actually record a video for that.
Yes. But
I was doing the Zoom part on my phone, and I didn't realize that.
Well,
when I wasn't speaking,
right?
I wasn't on camera, but I was on camera. So I was walking around. I went to the bathroom. I had allergies at the time, so I think I picked my nose maybe about 24 times. I think I was looking for stuff to eat. And so I didn't realize it had been recorded. I thought I was completely out of the picture when I wasn't talking. So we didn't release the video for that.
Yeah, I had a setting wrong on Zoom. So rather than just the speaker being spotlighted, it was, the normal deal where all 3 of us were on there. And that was my fault. And so when I sent the video version to Junior and then I watched it back, I realized, this didn't turn out well because I had some stuff going on in the background as well. And the video just was an absolute mess. And the audio, turned out great, but the video was an absolute mess. So we had to scrap it.
Yeah. Excuse me. So by
you all right over there?
Yes. So by episode 46, we still hadn't learned how to use Zoom properly.
That's true.
Yeah.
And we still struggle.
Yeah.
We've gotten better.
We've got down on it now, but yeah. So by episode 46, we were still.
But you still haven't figured out how not to hit your microphone.
Well, that's true, but it's kind of intrusive. I'm not really used, other than my dog, I'm not really used to things constantly this close to me.
Mm-hmm.
So episode 47, we talked about vampires, which was a very interesting topic. We spoke about the origin of the vampire legends around the world, some famous vampires, including Barney the Vampire, which is one of the earliest books. And we decided, not the most frightening name. I mean, Dracula, Dracul the dragon, that's kind of scary, but Barney...
Not so much.
Not so much. I don't think in any language, not even in Romanian. I don't know what the Romanian translation of Barney is. Still not scary.
I think it's Barney.
Yeah.
That's why it's still not scary.
But in a little bit more of a kind of Middle European accent.
Barney?
Is that Middle European?
I don't know.
We'll do a Dracula accent. I have come to suck your blood. Do that.
Barney.
I am
Barney. Is that it?
No.
I can't do it then.
No.
There's no V's in it. That's what you have to do. You have to swap the W for a V. I want to talk your blood. Barney. You can't do it.
I think you still can.
Well, I can't. I can't do
the
it.
fact that you're Barney in there. I'm Barney and I want to drink your blood.
I'm Barney.
Yeah.
No, yeah, let's stop that.
He needs to write his own intros, to be honest.
Exactly.
Right, episode 48, we talked about bowling, which to me is like a very random thing because sometimes I can score 42 and other times I can score like 190.
Yeah.
But there's just no guarantee.
It's kind of sad though what's happened with bowling because it used to be so popular and now it's just not as popular anymore.
Well, that's because with the Wii and Kinect coming along, most people got their money's worth and decided that they sucked playing it there, so they didn't have to waste their money and actually go to a proper bowling place.
And bowling is so expensive. That's what I can't figure out.
Yeah.
It is such an expensive sport. I mean, by the time you go through all that, you could play golf, and golf is considered a very expensive sport.
Right.
But it's almost the same cost. That's bizarre.
Yeah, we could suck outdoors having a nice walk.
Right. Oh, no. Well, we're not going to walk. We're going to ride in the cart.
Yeah. So episode 49, we brought forth lots of life hacks for our listeners to put into action, and a couple of them were decent.
I remember doing the life hacks episode, but I don't remember any of the life hacks at all.
Well, there was one where you could make a nightlight for your child's bedroom. If they had any old dolls, you could take the head off them and put an electric light or something in the head of the doll, and so it illuminates the kind of like night table by your kid, and obviously gives them nightmares and requires therapy for the next 30 years. But that was one of the life hacks.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, if you want to torture your kids because you don't like them, then, just rip the heads off their dolls and they'll be like,
why not?
Oh, I thought I'd lost that doll. Is that Susie's head? Nope.
Nope.
You sure, Daddy? Yep.
Yep.
So episode 50, we return to Star Wars and talk about Star Wars: A New Hope. So we were actually positive in this episode, except for my comment on the YouTube video where I said, the prequel should have been called No Hope or something like that.
Yeah. That was episode 8. Yeah. No, that was the one where we had planned ahead that we were going to do that, but I was not in very good mental shape for that, and I had extreme trouble for some reason remembering the movie.
A New Hope?
Yeah. I think that was that episode, wasn't it?
No.
Or was that the prequels one?
That's the prequels.
Yeah. Gonna have to go back and listen to that down memory lane. I just can't remember this stuff.
I had to write a synopsis, remember, on the prequels about what happened in each one and all the stuff, I thought things which don't work.
I thought that was the New Hope one that you made me explain the episode. It was the prequels, and I forgot a lot of stuff from the prequels. Okay, got those confused.
Right,
that makes sense.
Episode 51, we had an interview with some people who we'd never heard of about a show we'd never heard of, but it turned out to be an entertaining podcast, and their show is actually gaining followers and gaining in popularity. So hopefully if it gets really famous, we'll ride off the back of this interview, as I think it was the first one they ever did. It was with Gary Maselli and Gary McKee from the Freshman Circus.
Oh, yeah. A couple of interesting dudes. That was one, I think you were on yet another vacation.
Yep.
And so I handled that one by myself.
It'd been a month or so.
Yeah, you were overdue by then. So talk to them about their show. And of course, it's fully released now. So at that time, I think they only had like 1 or 2 episodes out. So the show's, fully released. I think they're talking about doing a season 2 and all that. So go check their show out, Freshman Circus.
Yeah. And we still have some posters left, which they dropped us off. So if you would like a poster, we will go ahead and sign it, which will bring no value to it whatsoever, but it doesn't have their signatures.
I never even thought about that. No, it does have their signature.
All right, then we won't sign it and ruin it. Then we'll just send it out to you.
No, we can sign the back.
Oh, yeah, we'll sign the back.
Yeah, that way if you want to frame it, you won't see our signatures.
Well, also in case you forget who sent it to you in a few years' time.
Yeah. So if you want one, holler at us.
Yeah. Episode 52, this is one of the first episodes other than Vampires, which we did where we expected nobody to listen who this episode applied to. It was the Amish.
Yes. I started feeling bad for the Amish, and I was hoping that somebody got a hold of them about COVID just to make sure they were okay. And so I reached out to the Amish community and made sure that they were okay and that there were no COVID cases or whatever. And then so I told the Wolf, hey, we need to cover the Amish. We need to do a podcast just for the Amish community for them to listen to. And he gave me a funny look and he said, I don't think you understand why this is a bad idea, but we'll go ahead and do it. I never understood why it was a bad idea. Of course, the Amish, they're going to listen to a podcast about themselves. So we recorded a podcast about the Amish.
Yeah, we decided we are actually going to go and pay the Amish community in Texas a visit at some point.
Yes. Oh, that's right. We were supposed to line that up.
Yeah, but I'm not quite sure how we get in touch with them to let them know that we're going to be on our way.
I've got an inside way
Amish person.
Yeah, because I reached out to them, made sure they were okay. So yeah, I'll shoot them an email.
Well, if you remember, on one of my recent vacations to Colorado, I saw a bus load of Amish people, and they had like iPhones and stuff, and kind of looked a bit shady to me. I think there was a discount if you were from a sect or something.
Well,
or
probably.
Let's all dress like Amish and save $7.99 each.
Yeah, but you get those group discounts. You say you work for some company and you get a 10% discount on your cell phone bill. So that's probably what they did.
Yeah.
Good for them.
We did actually have another bonus episode thrown in where I actually draw the shepherd. Now, if you go watch the video on YouTube.
Well, that's a YouTube only.
That is a YouTube only. Yeah. The audio is actually better than the video, so because you'll be very disappointed if you actually see the final drawing.
Yeah, that's true.
I managed to make you look very Jewish, and
yes, you did.
A cross between a acidic Jew and Mr. Potato Head. Yeah, with a beard.
But to be honest with you, it's one of your better drawings.
It is one of my better drawings. So. And it took me less than a minute. Though.
Yeah. I mean, with the time constraints, you did a good job.
Yeah. So episode 53, again, we decide to jump on another bandwagon and discuss cancel culture.
Yes. And that was a timely episode, too, because that's when cancel culture was really kind of gaining some steam. I think that was just before Pepe got canceled. We didn't see that one coming. Now that's the wrong way to say that, because we don't wish Pepe got canceled. But wish we maybe would have done that episode after Pepe got canceled, so we could have talked a little more about that. But
I think if we could have seen Pepe come in, maybe we would have got banned a little bit earlier.
That's true. Yeah, that's very true.
54, we go on to J-pop again, trying to milk the popularity and using the hashtag very liberally, so that some people who can't speak the language might type in J-pop in English and think, I'm going to listen to something really fantastic about J-pop. It wasn't.
No.
It's basically us making fun of J-pop.
But I didn't even know J-pop existed.
That is true.
Now, there is a hamburger restaurant here close to us called K-Pop Burger. And I went there and, ate lunch one day and they had Korean pop music on, and I never put two and two together.
Yeah.
I always said, I wonder why this is called K-Pop Burger. And then I walked in and saw the Korean pop music going and realized they had kimchi that you could put on the hamburger. I'm like, oh, now I understand.
Yeah.
Now I know why you're calling this place that.
Well,
so I knew a little bit about K-pop, but I knew zero about J-pop.
Well, the big difference between K-pop and J-pop is the girls in K-pop are a lot hotter than the girls in J-pop.
Right. We did establish that fact. And there's a 1-letter difference in the alphabet.
There is, yeah.
J to K.
Yep.
Yep.
So, episode 55, we had an interview with Mr. Daniel Miller, and he is head of some group which investigates succession for Texas.
The Texas nationalist movement.
Yeah.
Interesting dude.
Very interesting.
I got to admit, he was probably the first guest where the Wolf and I said, you know what, we got to get a little bit better setup, because Daniel Miller had a pretty cool setup and, had a good camera, good microphone, all of that stuff. And we're still literally using our phones for Zoom at this point.
I was sitting in my son's bedroom. I think you can actually see his bed in the background.
Yeah, that and the Empire Strikes Back poster in the background. It's like,
signed by all the cast.
Yeah. Eventually, we're gonna have to step up our game a little bit. I mean, this dude pops up and he's got this cool setup, and so my AV part kind of kicks in. I'm like, we got to fix this, man. And so that was how long ago? And we're just now basically getting it fixed. So
just about mid-February.
Yeah, exactly. So better late than never.
Right. Episode 56, we covered music and lyrics, where we chose, I think, 5 songs each and chose our favorite lyrics.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Our favorite lyrics from 5 different songs.
That one,
why they're our favorite lyrics and what they kind of mean to us and whatever.
That one was a little unfair because you showed up to the studio and you already had your 5 picked, and you just basically shoved a blank piece of paper in front of me and said, pick 5 songs, your favorite lyrics, and we're going to record in 10 minutes.
Well, I thought that'd be easy for you because you listen to the same playlist on repeat every day.
That's true.
I mean, like literally every day.
Yeah, but it's 30.
Playlist.
Well, it's 33 hours long though.
Yeah.
So in an 8-hour day, it almost makes it through the week because I have it on the little shuffle play on Spotify. So I don't
hear
always
a lot of the same songs.
You do. I know. I got to put some more songs on there.
Yeah. Episode 57, we delve into a different side of science. That is biology. Biology minus 101.
Right.
Now, I can't remember why we called it minus 101, other than the fact it wasn't really educational. And I don't want any students going on
the last
podcast.
The last thing we want to do is mess somebody up in college.
We didn't want anybody expecting it to be a TED talk.
Yeah, or listen to that podcast and then think they could just test out of biology.
Now, if you're talking about Ted, that
the teddy bear.
Bear, which cusses a lot. Now, this would have probably come from him.
I was so disappointed when I found out TED Talks were not that teddy bear making speeches.
Yeah.
I
Do you
honestly
want to reach the kids or not?
Yes. I mean, why not? Why not have Ted do TED Talks?
Yeah.
Why is it called TED Talks? Do you even know?
The educational something or other.
Oh, it stands for something? I
think
it's
so.
Not just some dude named Ted that says, hey, I'm here to host these talks?
I'm not sure, but I think it's the educational something or other.
Oh. That's even more disappointing because I hope one day to maybe have Ted on the podcast.
Right.
So there is no Ted.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, yep. One more thing to disappoint me.
Yeah. Oh, talking of disappointment, episode 58 was on English dating. Gave examples from my own non-existing dating life in England, and some stories which I'd come across on a forum, actually a Football 365 soccer forum, and people were writing and telling about their worst first dates or worst dating experience in England. And so I read out a bunch of those to make myself feel better about my failed romantic. Did you feel years of my life? I'll say.
Did you feel better after that was over with?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much the only reason we did that was to try to make you feel a little bit better about dating.
The story that made me feel better was the girl who was crazy, followed the guy into the bathroom after he boasted he could pee the highest. Yeah. And she told him to close his eyes. She took off her tights, pooped in the tights, and started beating him with the tights with the poop in it.
Yes. And then you had to explain to me what the tights were and all that. Oh, I do remember that. Yeah, that one's worth a go back and listen to. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So episode 59, we had to deal with a crisis, which we barely made it through alive. That is Texas Snowmageddon.
Oh, that's true. That was right in the middle of February where the entire state almost shut down. Yeah. All you could see on the roads were four-wheel drive vehicles. I had to come pick you up because you didn't have a four-wheel drive vehicle. No. So I was in my Jeep Wrangler.
Or electricity.
Oh, that's right.
For 3.5 days, almost 4 days, no electricity. You had electricity.
So at my house, I had electricity.
Was an hour on, an hour off.
Yes.
But not exactly an hour. So you had to guess. Sometimes it's 47 minutes.
So we were trying to do some editing and all of that stuff in the studio, and we would have electricity for about an hour, then it would go off.
Yeah.
And so basically we had to time it, and we had to say, okay, the power should be on in about 5-6 minutes. Let's get everything ready. And then the power would cut on, and we'd start recording, and we'd go until the power was shut off, and then we pieced everything together.
Yeah.
So.
But it was warmer than sitting at home. I left my girlfriend sitting at home.
Well, also remember, though, it never really got too warm in here.
No,
because
got about 55-ish.
Yeah, I think the highest we got, it was 59.
But it was 42 at home when my girlfriend was. So
yeah, it sucked.
She didn't die, so.
No.
Every cloud and all that.
Yeah, well, at least you left her at home with no electricity and came up here to get warm every hour on the hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was only fair that one of us should survive Texas Snowmageddon, and it may as well be me.
Absolutely.
I was the one with the podcast.
And I didn't worry about my family. They, had heat and everything. We had gas heat too and never lost electricity. So.
Yeah. So episode 61, we actually interviewed our local mayor, Mr. Armin Mizani.
Yeah, that was a fun episode. I honestly wish we'd had this set up for Armin. I mean, I really do.
Yeah.
Interesting dude. Down to earth, just great overall, and was happy he showed up. I mean, there was no hesitation. We sent him a note or an email or whatever. He immediately responded and said, what y'all's schedule look like. We gave him a date. He said, yep, that'll work for me. Came in. He's a cool guy.
Yeah, and if you Venmo me $10, I'll send you his personal cell phone number.
I'll do it for $9. But I don't have Venmo. So there you go.
Guess it's just me then.
Yep.
Now, episode 62, we jumped into a topic which we don't know anything about for a change.
Which is most of our topics.
Most of our topics, hip-hop philosophy, where
that's right.
I went through the various stages of hip-hop from the 80s through the 90s, 2000s, and modern day, discussed the horror that was Christian rap back in kind of like the early to mid 90s. One of my friends at college had gone to a Christian music festival, and he'd picked up a bootleg Christian rap tape, which was I think a combination of Christian rap artists, and it had been filmed from like live festivals and all this stuff. And the first song on it was pretty amazing, and I think I read the lyrics, which I will never forget, and it was what do we have here? It's the holy book. Let's open it up and take a look. And that was literally the style of rapping on this song for about 4 minutes and 38 seconds.
Yeah, I do remember that part.
And I remember it was on a TDK 120-minute tape. I think it's one of those first tapes.
Right.
They all used to be 90 minutes until they found a way to compress the audio and make them all basically just put more tape in there. I can't remember what they did.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, it was full of, and we sat there one day and listened through these songs and,
Right. Yeah, that was a fun episode.
Yeah. Yeah, the rapture could not come quickly enough, amazingly.
No, not at all.
Yeah, episode number 63, we talk about emotional intelligence, which we didn't know was a thing.
Yeah, we were in a clubhouse room, I think.
Yeah, people kept mentioning it, so we thought we'd piss over it.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what we did. Yeah, so if you don't know about emotional intelligence, listen to that one, and we pretty much tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
In a very short episode.
Yeah, if you don't know anything about emotional intelligence, just suck it up. Cup.
There you go.
Yeah. 64, we gave some advice on dating and visited mail order brides.
Yes.
Which still exist. We went back to the origin of
we did have to make sure that they still exist, and they do still exist, which
and
was interesting.
They originated on the old frontier days when men couldn't find themselves a wife, and so eventually, after getting bored of writing back to the churches on the East Coast or in New England area, they started figuring, well, we can get some somewhat less demanding and more obedient women from overseas, and
that was actually a very educational episode.
It was, yeah.
You would think that we just kind of lapped our way through that one, but we actually had a lot of informative information about mail order brides.
And they are still available if you'd like them, except now it's more kind of email order brides.
No, that's true.
Yeah, you don't have to waste money on stamp.
But that's also one of those things that we've kind of held on to, the old technology for the name. Kind of like we still say hang up the phone, but you don't hang up the phone anymore. You just click the button on the phone. So,
is that how you do it on yours?
Yes.
Why hasn't the shepherd hung up yet? He doesn't have the use of both hands.
That's true.
Yeah.
No.
Right. Yeah. Episode 65 was quite interesting. We interviewed a guy who was the libertarian candidate running for governor of Texas, and it was interesting, wasn't it? He had some interesting views on some things.
Yeah, that one was interesting.
It was interesting.
And that's pretty much, yeah. So the next episode.
The next episode actually was a bonus episode where we did an advert for a friend of ours.
Oh, that's right. For Chance.
Yeah, who was putting together a show.
That's YouTube again.
Yeah, so YouTube only.
Yeah. So go on YouTube and check out our advert that we did for Chance.
And we will do adverts for almost literally anybody, even if you're a backstreet abortionist or...
Except the Dave Matthews Band.
Except for them. They can piss off.
No.
But yeah, no, I mean, if you're selling meth that you're making in your bathtub, we can make an ad for you.
Yes. We have lots of technology now and special effects and everything. So yeah, hit us up.
Well, we did have special effects in that video. We actually had
animation, motion. It was
fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Check it out. Yeah,
brilliant.
We're
brilliant.
I'm sure it just like the dude that got hired when he did the deep fake thing for Mark Hamill, and Lucasfilm hired him because he did a better job than Disney did for the last episode of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I think we might get hired for our work on that ad. So go check it out.
It's likely. Episode 66, we talk about fake plastic trees, not the one in the corner of the room.
Hey,
actually the song by Radiohead.
Don't say that's fake. We could have gotten away with the fact that that was real. Why'd you just have to tell everybody that was a fake tree?
Because they know we don't water it.
Oh, okay.
And it's been
plus it's the same height that's always been.
It's not grown. And I think actually when I move out of the way properly, you can see that it's not even got proper soil in it.
Well, yeah, that's true. But we did use it to hide the mess in the back.
We did. That was its first function, actually.
Yes, that is true.
So anyway, we talked about Fake Plastic Trees by Radiohead, went through the lyrics, meaning of the lyrics, talked a little bit about the album it was from, very powerful song. And had fun talking about that.
Yep.
Now, episode 67, we decided to continue with a political theme, and we interviewed another candidate for governor.
Not of Texas.
Not of Texas. Now, was it West Virginia or just Virginia?
No, just Virginia.
Just Virginia.
Yeah.
Mr. Merle Rutley.
Merle was a cool dude.
He was really cool.
I like Merle. Last I checked on old Merle, he didn't make it.
No.
He did not make it.
He was a very outside thing, but he's been gaining traction. I mean, when he first started, he had very little interest, and now he's gaining... a lot more followers.
I would say watch out for him in the next election.
Yeah.
I think he learned a lot from this first run.
Yeah.
And watch out for him in the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be kind of cool if he could get up there and get elected and we have him back on the program. If he runs another campaign, we'll definitely have him back.
Yeah.
We like Merle.
Oh, I know everybody was waiting for the second mistake. I just found the second mistake I made. I skipped another episode. Episode 60, Ask Us Anything.
Yeah, I mean, we could actually take all the Ask Us Anythings and just kind of rope it into one quick explanation.
Not really, because Ask Us Anythings were just individual emails we had got from listeners.
No, that's true.
With questions, marriage proposals for the shepherd, even though they know full well he's married.
I am married.
Because he complains a little bit sometimes. They think there's an in.
A little bit.
A bit. So yeah, we had a bizarre range of questions.
True.
Not all from people in the United States. And so some of them had been translated into English and lost
the
a
Google
lot.
Translate. Yeah.
Lost a lot. So we just answered them as they came out, not what we thought they meant.
But let's admit, Google Translate did a pretty good job.
On
we
some
think.
of them. On some of them. We think it
think.
did. I think we answered some stuff we weren't being asked, to be honest.
Yeah.
But anyway, the reason I go back to episode 60, Ask Us Anything, was because episode 68 was Ask Us Anything Again, where we actually caught up with the remainder of the questions we'd received since the first episode was aired.
Because there was a lot of them.
Yeah, and to be honest, the questions didn't improve in quality. You got another couple of marriage proposals.
Yeah.
From some woman, I can't remember where in Eastern Europe it was, she said that she thought you're a bit stupid, but she'd still marry you. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, that's what my wife said, so
Yeah.
that makes sense.
brilliant. Now, episode 69, we introduced our first In Other News segment, which has turned into a not quite weekly because we kind of forget to do it every week. And sometimes we do 2 in a week. But
Right.
basically, I scour, I would say the internet, but it's really just one website.
Yes.
And
One news website.
One news website.
Right.
And pull out the most ridiculous stories or...
I guess this would be a good opportunity to say that those are legitimate news stories.
yeah, absolutely.
I don't think we say that enough,
Mhm.
because I think people might think we're making these
Yeah.
news stories up. No, these are legitimate news stories that
Yeah.
we're talking about.
Yeah. People are basically bat poop crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And we've released, I don't know, maybe about 6 or 7 of those so far.
Yeah,
But
we got another one coming up soon.
yeah, a lot of people like those, and we keep
Yeah.
getting a lot of emails saying, why don't you just do In Other News and quit talking about the other things which you
No.
clearly know nothing about?
Yeah.
It's like, well, we don't know anything about this either, so you know,
Right.
pick a side.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not going to pigeonhole ourselves into one deal.
Yeah.
Plus, we'd get too bored if we just keep doing the same thing over and over. That's why we like to be all across the board. Of,
Yeah.
You and I talking, or having a guest, or bringing Pat Beeman in from On an Island with Pat Beeman to do in other news. We got to keep it fresh, and we got to keep it mixed up.
That was Pat's first
Yeah,
appearance
yeah,
on the show. The
yeah.
legendary Pat Beeman.
Well, yeah, we decided, hey, we had an in with him, and we said, look, we want to create a just kind of special segment on our podcast, and all we're going to do is this. And we won't put you on camera. I don't think we're ever going to get Pat talked into being on camera or anything like that, because of the privacy and everything of his podcast and the select people that listen and get on there. But we're super happy that he actually comes on the podcast and spends some time with us and everything, but he's very secretive about everything that goes on his podcast.
He just kind of sits at the end of the table and
that's what the third microphone's for, is a guest / this is actually, Pat has used this microphone more than anybody. So
we'll be selling that on eBay at some point.
Don't tell Pat. Yeah, don't tell Pat.
Yeah. Now, Pat Beeman's podcast is actually called On an Island with Pat Beeman, and Pat does actually own an island. Now, this island he owns, you can only access it certain months of the year, because when the water raises up, it completely covers the island other than like about 30 square yards. So to actually be on an island with Pat Beeman, you have to know when this island actually appears, because it's not actually on any maps, because it doesn't appear enough days to qualify to being on a map.
Yeah, you're not going to find it on Google Maps or anything like that.
Yeah. So episode 70, apparently I was away on vacation, and you decided to do a quick State of the Union message where you updated on the guests we had come in.
I believe that was
why I wasn't here.
Yeah, but that was right along the time where we got the Roadcaster, wasn't it?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that's
April 5th.
I don't remember.
I don't
remember exactly when. But,
almost wasn't worth mentioning because we can't.
Yeah, you went on another vacation, and there was some stuff that I just wanted to update everybody on. So it was a quick little 5-minute deal.
Yeah. Next episode was a bonus one. We actually had a guest appearance on Rubber Chicken Radio.
Oh,
who
yeah.
actually syndicates our podcast. We had a lot of fun on that show. Just talked about the podcast. We were asked a few questions about it. We made some stuff up and had a good chat.
We appreciate all the support from Gary from Rubber
Mm-hmm.
Chicken Radio, and we're simulcast on there Mondays and Thursdays. So thanks again, Gary, for playing our podcast on your radio show.
Yeah,
and we'll catch up soon.
Yeah. Episode 71 was another in other news. Can't remember what was on that episode, so don't even bother going there. 72, we switched to one of the greatest animals in God's kingdom, the mantis shrimp. An animal which we only discovered early on this year.
Yeah.
Basically, the shrimp can heat the water to the temperature of the sun.
Yes.
It can, just by waving its claws super, super quickly, actually crack the shells of crabs. It can break aquarium glass if it's not more than 1/4 of an inch thick. It can see cancer. It has like 13 or 15 color receptacles, whereas like humans only have 3.
Just a fabulous animal.
Kick-ass animal.
Yeah, look him up. Listen to the podcast and look up the mantis shrimp.
We have endeavored, actually, at one point, we are going to have a little aquarium in the background there, and we are going to have some mantis shrimp. It is going to happen at some point.
No, just one. You can't mix them.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, we can only have one, which sucks. Or we can have multiple aquariums with multiple mantis shrimp.
That's true.
There's something to think about.
Yeah, we got some space on the top of the flag there, actually. Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah.
Now,
we could set it up like those gerbil cages, that have like tubes and everything around, so they can all like bounce around and everything. And so all the mantis shrimp are having fun in the background while we have this new camera and everything.
Yeah. Oh, the good thing is,
we could put one in a bowl, like right in between us.
Yeah, but I was just thought I had a great idea, but then it wasn't a great idea, because I thought, well, mantis shrimp are great at killing crabs. I thought, well, we could feed it crab.
Right.
Like a live crab.
Okay.
Watch the mantis shrimp kill the crab, and we could eat the crab meat. But I'm kind of thinking that the mantis shrimp kills the crab because it eats the crab meat.
Our mantis shrimp would be pretty upset with us if we took the crab that he killed. We wouldn't do that. We don't believe in animal cruelty.
It would just be looking at us through the glass like this, just tapping with its claw.
Yeah, just wait.
Be like, I can turn this up a notch.
Yeah, just wait. Just wait.
So, episode 73, we had an interview with Frank Kane, the squad stitcher. He's actually a Bigfoot expert.
Yeah.
Had a fantastic talk with him. He's a really funny dude. You can find him on Instagram under the squad stitcher.
Squatch. As in Sasquatch. Yeah. Squatch stitcher. Yeah. Frank's a cool dude. Put us in contact with some other folks as well. But take a look at his Instagram and listen to his episode. And he's got a lot of interesting stories. I know he was trying to plan a Sasquatch / Bigfoot expedition soon. So I'm sure we'll probably be checking back in with him.
Yeah. Episode 74 was another in other news. 75, we decided we didn't have enough water in our life, so we spoke to somebody who was running for our local water board.
Yes, Mary Kelleher. That was, I guess, our second podcast victory. Because number one, we had Kelly Holt come on, and then she wins
for the year
there. And so Mary Kelleher was running for the Texas, or what was it?
One of the districts.
North Tarrant Regional Water District. That's what it was, TWRD. And so had her in and interviewed her. She's a friend of Layla Caraway. And so I had, remembered the story that Layla told me about. And Mary was running for the water board, had been on it before, and then lost re-election. And so I called Layla up and I said, hey, I see Mary's running again. Would she like to be on the podcast so she can tell her story? And I'm not saying it was the podcast, but she came on the podcast and
pulled
then
a few
won.
And she got re-elected.
Yeah, she won very decisively.
Yeah.
So she's now actually fully installed and everything on the water board there. So I'm sure we'll probably hear something out of Mary eventually. So it was very interesting. Obviously more local centric to us here in the Fort Worth, DFW Metroplex and everything. But still an interesting story. Turns out, I forgot to tell you that some people from Michigan reached out to Mary because they heard Mary on the podcast for her to help them on their water board for similar problems. So anyway, big message. And just because it's right here in Tarrant County doesn't mean it's not apropos for wherever you're at.
Yeah.
Unless you're in like New Zealand. Isn't the water really pretty over there and they don't have any water issues?
I don't know.
No.
You talking about Australia?
No, New Zealand. That's a separate state from Australia, isn't it?
Yeah.
No.
Separate islands.
I think, you know what we need to do with Mary, though? So, you had talked about before how murky and everything the water is over in England.
Yeah.
Maybe Mary needs to go over to England and clean the water up over there.
I didn't say it's murky. I just said it tasted horrible a lot of the time because it tastes. They hadn't by the time I left England replaced a whole ton of the lead piping they used to have in the older houses. And lead is an acquired taste in your water.
Sure.
So yeah, she could go over there and sort that. Although now they've probably got some regulations that, you know, since they discovered lead's not the best thing for you. I think they came across that, you know, you had so many months or years to replace lead piping in your house. You'd hope they'd done that by now. There's no guarantee.
Yeah. You might want to check with some of your buddies that still live back there.
But no, it used to be an interesting taste.
Sure.
I'll say that.
I'm sure it would.
But other than the brain damage, I didn't have any issues with it. So,
or the hair loss.
Or the hair loss.
Yeah.
So episode 76, we talked about sharks. Now this episode is especially rememberable.
Is that a word?
Yeah.
Memorable.
Memorable.
God, that's a lot of syllables.
Memorable.
There we go.
Memorable.
Yes. Memorable. Right.
The Human Torch was denied a bank loan.
Unique New York.
Right. Yes. So anyway, sharks. I did actually sing a little bit of Baby Shark at the beginning, and we did actually mention Baby Shark, and we did make sure that we hashtagged on all of the platforms Baby Shark, even though the show had nothing to do with Baby Shark, because we figured there's got to be some kids, again, who don't necessarily speak English very well, and this wasn't a video, who would have typed in Baby Shark. Our hashtag would have brought our show up. They'd have clicked on it, would have got some advertising revenue from Google. Another play, and so
why not?
That show was pretty much put together just to milk the success of Baby Shark, the most watched YouTube video of all time.
The problem that we had with that is we should have waited until Shark Week, but we forgot all about Shark Week because I think Shark Week was like last week or something like that.
Yeah, but then people would be watching something with actual educational basis and probably watching it rather than listening to it. Ours is a good warm up for them. You can watch a show and think.
Well, we could have done it the week before Shark Week.
We could have.
Yeah.
But if you're the kind of person who sits down watching shows about sharks, I think you've got a lot of spare time on your hands anyway. Probably live with your parents as well.
Yeah.
Episode 77, we go back to an interview situation between you and I because we got sent in some serious questions. One of our listeners emailed us and said the other two shows we'd done on the Ask Us Anything, the questions were too stupid because they came from people who couldn't speak English properly, their words, not ours.
Right.
And so we did On a Serious Note where we actually answered some serious questions that might actually be...
Yeah. They were all serious.
Yeah. I think other than the episode on autism, that might have been the most serious one we did, actually.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah. So episode 78, we spoke to our friends just down the way, that direction, actually.
Yeah, over there.
At the Cloud House, which is a CBD store. It sells Delta 8 products, vape, CBD, various stuff. Really great guys who work there. Walking distance from us, which is good. And yeah, go pay them a visit. If you go to our website, the address of the store is actually on there. Go see them. Super friendly. Great display in there. And we do actually have a little bit of a video on YouTube, which gives you a little tour around the store. So if you watch that, you can see stuff. I know CBD stores kind of opening everywhere and they seem to be in every strip mall now, but you know, a lot of the time they have products which aren't especially, you know, that great of highest quality, but the Cloud House only gets stuff which has been on the market, had a lot of research, really popular, and you
So
know, it's the real deal.
One thing to kind of update everybody on the Cloud House, when they were on here, they were not open 24 hours a day. Now they're open 24 hours a day. So kind of a little update there. They were gearing towards that. They had to hire more employees and all that stuff, but it's 24/7 now.
Yeah.
So just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. Episode 79 was another in other news. Episode 80. This was another kind of making fun of something we'd heard a lot of on Clubhouse and across various forums on Facebook. It was the self-growth thing. We did questionable self-growth advice. We'd found this app, and it had a 20-day program to improve any man's self-growth. Now, 20 days is a lot of commitment. But what makes this worse is on like 2 of those days, they bundled in a ton of other things. I think it's like day 8 or something. They bundled in like 16 other things.
A bunch of other steps.
And it's like, well, should I just write this day off or what? And then there was another day, which was like completely out of order and like had a ton of stuff you had to do. And it's like, well, if I haven't quit by day 8,
right,
you know, you can piss off by day 14.
Not only that, but I thought, to be honest with you, you made this whole thing up whenever you brought it to me. And then I remember like a week later, I saw an ad for it, I think on Facebook. Yeah. And I screenshotted it and I texted you and I said, you weren't making this up. No. This is literally the same list. Yeah. And you're like, I told you I wasn't making that up.
I got it from, I actually got it from Instagram. It's probably the same ad.
Yeah, it's the same ad.
But some of the points, I remember one of them, and this was self-growth, helpful advice. One of these was pause. That's all it was, pause, P-A-U-S-E.
My favorite one of them was Elon Musk.
Oh, yeah. That was the title of it.
That was the title of it.
Hey, you're not Elon Musk, so.
Yeah,
you know.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
So, now, before we go any farther.
Further.
That's from Finding Forrester. But anyway, I think I found your third mistake.
You have?
Because one of my favorite ones we've done was Midgets and Other Short Stories.
Oh, yeah.
And that was so many episodes ago. And you must have scrolled over that one.
Yeah, missed that one as well.
Yeah. So what number was that?
That was actually my first mistake. That was number 8. That was
number 8?
Yeah.
So we made it up to 80, and we just realized we missed Midgets and Other Short Stories.
Yeah, it's number 8, Midgets and Other Short Stories, the most popular podcast on midgets on the entire internet.
This is when we were actually very shocked when we went into Google and typed in, podcasts about midgets, and we're the number 1 result on Google. I thought, wow, that's nuts. So. Let's skip back to 81, but I just realized, how did we miss the midgets one?
Yeah, and that was a very good show, actually.
Yes.
It was lots of informative stuff about midgets, a guide so you can understand the difference between a midget and a dwarf.
Right.
Possible jobs they can do, and whether you can buy any off the internet.
Right.
Yeah. So let's see, where are we? Oh, yes.
That was 80.
Yeah, 80.
Correct.
Right, so the next one will be 81.
Yes.
Well, you're wrong, because the next one after 80 was a bonus. We actually did a little Star Wars skit for, was it a radio show?
No, it was another podcast.
Oh, another podcast, yeah.
And I guess I should have prepped a little better because I can't remember the name of the podcast.
The thing we did, the little Star Wars bit we did was called Luke Got Milk. And it was based upon him milking that kind of sea.
It was basically
beginning of episode 8.
Yeah. So it was for this other podcast, and it was just another way that we could kind of poop on episode 8, and it was for their Star Wars Day episode. So,
but it was a competition, though, isn't it?
I don't remember.
Oh,
that's been a while back. It's been a couple of months ago.
Oh, well, clearly we didn't win then. So,
yeah. Oh, no, we don't ever win anything.
Right. Well, episode 81 was dedicated to the worst movies of the 80s because although the 80s produced some great movies.
Yes.
I mean, even to this day, 40 years later, iconic incredible movies to go back and revisit and really capture the mood and the music of the 80s, but not every movie was golden.
That's true.
And so we run through a bunch of movies. I can't actually remember any of them now.
Yeah, but they're all bad
They
movies.
were pretty terrible. There's some pretty terrible movies. Episode 82, we interview a...
Sorry, somebody actually just like sent me a message about the podcast.
Did you hear that case? It's like made out of iron.
Yeah. So sorry about that.
Yeah.
I got to thinking, well, how are they sending me this message about the podcast where you haven't released this yet? And so I got confused, and that's why I dropped the phone.
Well, anyway, we had an interview with a hypnotherapist named May Devi.
Oh, yeah. Good old May.
Now, May is a very interesting character. She's very bubbly, very charismatic.
Yes.
Again, if you look her up on our website, it's got the links to her Instagram and various other platforms.
She has her own podcast called Stories of the Subconscious. So take a listen to that. I've actually caught her in a couple other clubhouse rooms and everything. Like you say, I mean, bubbly, just a super cool person to talk to. Just really nice and fellow native Texan.
Yeah. And super charismatic as well. I mean, she explains it so you can understand it. She doesn't, although she does know all the big words, she explains it as if you were like a client and explains everything, how it works. And it was really, really educational. We also released a bonus unedited version on YouTube with the video, with just the raw audio, because we figured certainly for her fans she has who follow her, you know, they'd like to see her interviewing. Episode 83, we talk about absinthe. In Absinthe Makes the Heart Grow Fonder. It's a little bit of a pun, which I don't think anybody other than me got, but I write these titles to impress myself. So we talk about the history of absinthe, how it basically screws you up, how you can lose a few days if you drink too much of it.
True.
I told the story. I remember my son's mom, the first time we shared a bottle of absinthe, she was supposed to go out of town the next day for a business trip. She couldn't remember getting on the plane. She actually couldn't remember anything from about 7 o'clock the previous night. The next thing she remembers is waking up, the plane's in the air, and she's got a bagel, and she hates bagels, sitting on her lap. And that was it.
Yeah.
She lost, like, I don't know, almost a whole day just in absinthe land, in La La Land.
Well, I would recommend trying absinthe, and at the same time, I would recommend being careful.
Yes.
Yeah,
definitely. Well, actually, I won't say definitely Uber it, because you're likely to tell the Uber driver to go somewhere where you probably shouldn't go. Or,
like Jupiter.
Well, or like Narnia or something like that.
No, you just make fake places up. Yeah. Oh, that would be really bad.
Terrible.
That'd be an expensive Uber ride.
It would as well. You get covered in poop at the end of it.
Yes.
Episode 84, another in other news segment. 85, we get to interview my girlfriend's cousins, two shaman, Victorian shaman. I call them shaman. English shaman.
Yeah, shaman.
It's not even a proper English word.
That was an interesting episode because I was having trouble staying awake, and so the wolf pretty much carried that entire episode, and I spent the entire episode with my head right here on this table, sleeping.
It was another Delta 8 trying to find a higher state of consciousness, but again, ignoring the recommended dosage. So actually managing to find a lower state of consciousness.
Yes.
I remember contribution to the show was at one point I asked him a question, and that side of the desk there, he actually stuck his thumb up, did this,
that's true,
put it down, and then put his head back on the table.
Yep. That literally,
you did introduce the show,
I did the intro, and then when it got to the end, I believe that is the only outro you've ever done.
I did, yeah.
Because I looked up at you with this look on my face saying, I can't even do the outro. You're going to have to do it. And so it is the only episode, I believe, that you've done the outro.
Yeah. And we've got one of those out of it. We've got one of those really annoying desks where kind of underneath the top part, it comes down pretty low, so you can't kick somebody under the table. It's where if you go and try and kick them, you actually hit your own shins on a wooden divide before you can actually reach them. So I was trying to kick him with like a 2-minute wind down to do the outro and couldn't get any reaction whatsoever. And so I just...
Plus, I had my chair scooted back.
Yeah. Like that. That's how he was. And he stuck his thumb up. Because I asked him to edit something where we had some weird background noise going on. So.
That's literally was my contribution to that episode.
Yeah. Episode 86, another in other news. 87, we talked about the ideal woman.
Yes.
And we don't mean like our ideal women, although we did talk about our
we did.
Ideal
a little
women,
bit.
a little bit.
A little bit.
But no, we talked about the attributes the ideal woman should have.
Right.
Don't settle for anybody who's not the ideal woman, just kind of string them along until, somebody with a higher score out of 10 comes along and then get rid of them and just work your way up to the ideal woman. So, I mean, if you start off on a 3, 3.5, work up to a 5, to a 6, maybe get too drunk and drop back down to 4.5 and then, just keep climbing, just keep replacing them until you get...
I think we know somebody that's done that.
Yeah, I think we do.
I don't want to mention his name.
No, I think we do know somebody who might have done that.
Yes.
Stayed in the below 5s out of 10s for a long period of time.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
But I think he was almost proud of that fact too.
Well, yeah, he was going for quantity, not quality
exactly.
at the time. Yeah.
And there was a lot of quantity there.
There was a lot of quantity.
Both in numbers and weight.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So 86, which I've already done, was in other news. Sorry, 88 was another in other news.
Yeah.
So, 89, I decided to go on vacation, and the Shepherd interviewed Jay Riggs.
Oh, yeah. Jay Riggs with Riggs Fabrication. Interesting interview. We talked a lot about cars and him rebuilding cars, restoring cars, fixing up cars and everything. For the gearheads out there, it's one you don't want to miss.
Yeah, and his fabrication, unlike our fabrication, we just make crap up.
Right.
Whereas he actually does some
he
good
actually
work.
creates stuff. We just make stuff up.
Yeah.
So it's a different fabrication.
Yeah, exactly. So, after that, we have episode 90, another in other news. You see, we're kind of milking this for all it's worth.
Absolutely. Well, we do have fun with them, though.
We do. And it seems to be getting a lot of hits. People like listening to it, downloading it. So, we then, for some strange reason, episode 91 and 92, some guy in Luton, was it Mark in Luton in England?
I do remember Luton because you had to explain to me what Luton was.
Yeah, the Luton airport. Right. But I think his girlfriend or wife had found a list of 100 questions online. And I think we're still only at about number 65.
I don't think we're ever going to finish that list.
Well, no, I've actually bought it in. We need to finish it at some point.
Oh.
Probably end up being like 4 parts. But anyway, we recorded part 1 and 2. And the best I can say about these 2 episodes is if you're really trying to steal somebody's personal financial information and you want the answer to all the possible security questions that exist, this list covers all of those questions. So if you are planning to scam somebody, find a way to send them this list.
Yes.
And you can probably reset their password with little or no effort.
Absolutely.
Or any need to contact the support help desk for the account you're trying to hack into. But
that is
use
a good
a VPN,
point.
don't get caught.
Oh, yes.
Yep. 93 was another in other news. Yeah. A topic close to our heart because we both went to vacations the week before we recorded this one. Episode 94, vacation recommendations, or really it was places not to go.
Yeah, just to be clear, we've talked through this list, right? And it's constantly, and then you went on vacation again, so we had to do this. And then you went on vacation again, so we had to do this.
Yeah.
This was the first time that we, of course, went on separate vacations, but we actually both were gone and so couldn't record. And we said, hey, when we get back, we got to talk about the vacation that we just went on, but also talk about how vacations are crap. Ironically, we talked about how vacations are crap, but he goes on a lot of vacations.
Well, I think this was mainly a guide of places not to go and people not to take.
Yes.
We decided.
But you've been on so many vacations, you have that list already built up of saying, hey, I went yet on another vacation of a place I never want to go back to.
Yeah. I think the summary at the end was don't take your family because you'll have a worse time than if you go by yourself or with friends. True. So just remember that if you don't remember anything else in that episode. Go by yourself or with your mates.
Right.
Because family ruin it.
That's true.
Yeah, pain in the ass.
Unless you go to Jerusalem and then you could turn them loose. They can get the Jerusalem syndrome, get locked up in a mental institution. Then you don't have to worry about them anymore.
Now, episode 95, I decided to go on vacation, and you interviewed Jeremy Claprott. Is that say his name?
Yeah.
And Nathan Hartman.
Yeah. So
tell the story on that.
Yeah.
It's actually
So
a fascinating story.
just very briefly, because I encourage you to actually listen to the whole episode. But Jeremy Claprott made a documentary about Charlie Odom, whose nickname was Waterboo in Vietnam, and the dude got shot in the head and left for dead, but survived. And so Jeremy Claprott had been filming all kinds of footage and everything of Charlie over the last 20 or so years. And Charlie passed away about 3-4 months ago. And Jeremy had never put all the footage together, always wanted to put the documentary out about him and everything. And then at the funeral, basically the family and the friends saying, hey, you were always doing this documentary. You need to get this done. So Jeremy got it done. And it's in film festivals right now. I've seen the film. It's a great film. It's going to be coming out soon. We're going to let y'all know that. There's pictures from the podcast. Honestly, my only regret on that podcast was us not having this camera set up, because if you look at the pictures on Facebook or Instagram, they brought in his helmet, they brought in pictures of him, the Western Union telegrams, everything. They were all laid out all over this table. It's the most nervous I've ever been, with having a beer sitting next to it too, because I'm looking at this stuff that's 30, 40, 50 years old, thinking, please don't spill my drink. Please don't spill my drink. But great interview, great movie. So check it out, Waterboo.
Yeah. And for those of you who are wondering why the Shepherd didn't get his latest iPhone out and take video or photos of the cool stuff they bought in, perhaps send him an email directly.
Well, I took pictures. I just didn't take video. I took pictures.
Got that 4K video capability.
Well, yeah, but somebody had to run the board and do everything else, because somebody wasn't here.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Right. Episode 96, I made a guest appearance on another podcast, the 100,000 podcast, where a kid who I actually used to coach soccer about 17 years ago has, funnily enough, grown up, got his own family now, lovely wife and kid. And he has 2 podcasts of his own. One is called the 100,000 podcast, and there's another one called Support the Fort, which the Shepherd and I are going to go on at a later date, and that talks about the local kind of Fort Worth, restaurant scene, night scene, touristy stuff, and just how the area is growing and how it's a great place to come visit and live. But basically on this podcast, we just talked about a ton of different topics, talked for over 2 hours, just caught up on a whole bunch of stuff and had a lot of fun. He also has it on his podcast channel. Again, if you look him up, his name is Rabir. He's on our website. Yeah. That will be, episode 96. And go check out his podcast. He's a really cool guy, really down-to-earth guy. I don't know how many episodes he's done or who he's talked to, but obviously nothing as exciting as talking to me. But yeah, go check him out. Now, episode 97 was the start of a beautiful relationship that is between us and a guy known as Crumb, the master student.
Yes.
Now, Crumb is an amazing individual. I know we've said that about a few people during this list, but we ended up recording almost 4 hours of audio and video the first time we spoke to him, and we still didn't get finished. We had to actually have another day, and what we covered was Vlad the Impaler, the history of Vlad, and we somehow managed, I guess, in total to speak about 4.5 hours, maybe.
Yeah, I'll have to go back through. We released episode 1, episode 2's coming out, or not episode, part 1 and part 2 and everything. But he was actually one of the guys that made me kind of get with you and say, look, we got to up our camera game. We set the laptop up and was using the laptop camera and all that. So we got to fix this. We got to make this better. So Crumb kind of pushed us along. So you'll see in those episodes on YouTube where it's like, hey, God, the camera looks crappy and blah, blah, blah. And then we said, look, let's get a better camera. And so we did.
Yeah. And we've actually followed the general advice from girls on Instagram, and we haven't put it on the highest resolution.
No, we're not going to do that.
Ourselves look better because it's actually got 4K capability. Yeah,
we're not doing 4K.
But we're on like 720 or something.
No, so. I mean, if we had a 480 setting, we'd put it on there, but that messes up the widescreen. Yeah. So it's going to be 720. Sorry, folks.
Yeah. And there's also a reason that's why we're so far back from the camera as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Episode 98 was another in other news. Episode 99, you mentioned earlier, will be the return of our friend Jay Davis, where we catch up with him, what's going on with his new TV shows, all his new projects, where he's kind of like really hitting it hard now. COVID's kind of out the way. He's actually able to film a lot more. Some of the stuff he was filming before was put on hold during the pandemic, but now he's back kind of recording various things.
Yeah.
He's going to be outputting a lot of stuff, and he's a really funny guy. You want to check out especially some of his short animations on his YouTube channel. They are kind of R-rated, most of them.
True.
But they are hilarious. If you like a lot of the kind of Family Guy type humor, but a little bit more kind of R-rated version of it, and he covers a lot of news stuff and social issues and kind of makes fun of it. Really great. And episode 100 will be this.
And I mean, here we are, 100 episodes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a minute if you'd like to, but hey, I just want to thank everybody that has listened to us, watched us on YouTube and all that stuff. I mean, we started this out just trying to have fun and do something, and we tried to grow it into something that, you know, we're proud of and that we hope y'all will share around and all that stuff. So we're having fun doing it. The next few episodes, we've got some incredibly interesting people coming on the show. Don't want to mention who they are or whatever and let the cat out of the bag, so to speak, but got some interesting content coming up for you, as well as our normal, you know, back and forth about different topics. We're not obviously getting rid of in other news. That's never going away, and probably have some other stuff coming out. So
yeah, I'd like to echo that. Thank everybody who listens and watches. Thank you to everybody who writes in. Thank you to the support from our friends and family. Not too impressed by some of the reaction from some of the bigger companies, because quite frequently, again, our regular listeners will hear me say, on that note, if there are any representatives from Adidas listening, we are yet to have an official athletic wear sponsor. So if you would like to get in touch with us at thewolfandtheshepherd@gmail.com and offer us a lucrative package to advertise your company solely in the athletic leisure wear category, please do not hesitate to get in touch. Now, have they got in touch?
No.
And how many companies have we done that with? About 50.
A lot.
I haven't got in touch, and yet we know they listen because we get emails.
Maybe,
but nobody's writing a huge check.
That's true. But with all that said, thanks for tuning into this episode of The Wolf and the Shepherd. And we look forward to 100, 1,000, something like that more. But we will catch you on the next one.
That's a W, by the way.
That's a W. What does that stand for?
Wolf.
Oh, I never even thought
Do your
about
ass thing. See if you can get it the right way around.
That's the right way? I can't do that. What are you making me do that for? Anyway, thanks for tuning into this episode of The Wolf and the Shepherd, and we will catch you on the next one.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Wolf and the Shepherd podcast. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll pass along our web address, thewolfandtheshepherd.com, to your friends and colleagues. And please leave us a positive review on iTunes when you get a chance. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for additional content. Join us next time for another episode of The Wolf and the Shepherd.